the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an opened one.
Join Sumaya every Tuesdays between 7 and 8 p.m. for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Ansaar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
Masisondele, phela noxolo yelele.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah. Say it once or 100 times or more. You feel at peace inside and it'll open every door. That's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart and know you will be loved by the merciful. That's the power of remembering Allah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to School Matters. Yes, I know it's the holiday, but School Matters still continues to educate you, uplift you, and let you know what's happening. Well, I'm Sumaya Khan, your host. And we have a topic this evening. I'm in shock. I couldn't believe it. I had to count the days. Do you know the MATRIC finish line is right here? We have exactly, I think it's now maybe 99, to win the 500 days. Yes, for our MATRIC learners, in 100 days, or a little bit less than 100 days, they'll be writing their final exams. Just the other day, we were celebrating the class of 2025, and now it's the class of 2026. Well, MATRIC learners, this is the final stretch. The next 100 days can determine not only your NSC results, but also your opportunities for universities, bursaries, employment, your future career, and what you're going to do and where you are going. Many learners are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or unsure where to begin. But here's the good news. It's never too late to turn things around. With the right strategy, consistency, and mindset, these final 100 days can become your strongest point, and you can make change. And joining us, it's holiday. She's not holidaying on School Matters, but I managed to get her. Veronica.
Hello. Good, thank you.
Well, who will be sharing practical advice on preparing effectively, managing stress, personal input, avoiding common mistakes which she have noticed, and crossing the MATRIC finish line with confidence.
Yeah, definitely with confidence.
I can't believe 100 days are left. We were just celebrating the class of 2025.
When I was driving here, I was thinking about it, and I remember us still at the beginning of the year sitting there and celebrating the previous matrics, and now we're July already, and it's absolutely amazing. It's just like like a fast forward pace.
Exactly, there's just no blessing in time. And now when you think about it, gosh, it's like especially high school educators, there's no rest.
No.
There's no rest. I know you've been very busy.
We've been busy. We've had a full program. Not everything was matrics, though. There was winter school. But we had a big program for the university, and we were teaching or training the second year university students in terms of technical skills, which is part of their fourth year module that they have to have. But they do it in their second year, just to take, I think, some stress off them in the fourth year. And so that was actually for 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah.
That was what we were busy with. And then we had to catch up. The technical staff had to catch up their winter school. So it was busy and hectic. Yeah.
And
so this
it
week
just
is my
continues.
first week of holiday.
Oh my gosh, I really booked you, huh?
Yeah. I thought, Sumaya, you know.
That copy date is far overdue, huh?
I know, very much.
Far overdue. You know, you've been in this. You know where it's going, and it's like, the educators, especially the high school educators, y'all are like watching. You're watching
We're
soccer.
stressing.
You're stressing like you're watching soccer. It's like if you don't do that, and you're not going to score. You need to do this, but again, the players are not listening.
Yeah, I tell you, I was marking now on the holidays, and because we got our scripts right at the end, and I tell you, you sit and you talk to these students, these learners, when you're marking and you see that they get off the rail, and then you look who it is, because I have this thing of not. And when they've lost the plot completely, then I look who it is, and then I'm like, what is wrong? Can you not listen when I tell you not to do these things? Why are you not listening? Yeah, so yeah, you stress with these kids. You know.
Exactly. For our grade 12 learners who are listening, and even those who are not in grade 12, 100 days left. How do I go about? I mean, you have been studying, but how do I start my intense studying for the final exams? It begins now.
You won't believe it. Every single year, there's some kid who tells me, "Ma'am, I don't study in the holidays." Because when I saw them, I said, "Guys, you have to now please study. You have to pull these books from now to the end of the year. There's no leisure time. You take your timetable, and you if you don't have a plan, then you work according to your timetable of school. So in other words, on day one, if you have English in the first lesson, then you spend 30 minutes on English, and second lesson you have science of life science, and then you spend 30 minutes on that, and you have a little break, blah 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 blah." And every year there's some kid that tells me, no, I don't do
Studied
that.
the night before.
Oh, and I want to throttle them,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the only things that I haven't done in education was throttle a kid. You just want to throttle
We don't
them.
lose our job.
No, but you know what I'm saying. You just want them to catch a wake up and just do something.
And but sometimes they only catch a wake up after they write their papers, they fail, and they learn it the hard way, wasting a year. But again, we still motivate them to succeed. Why would you say the 100 days are so important for matric learners from now? Why is it so important?
You still have time to catch a wake up. You still have
time.
the time. This last bit is now, and also remember that a lot of educators or now have winter school. I know that a lot of schools are actually doing winter school now from this week, and the end of this week, like from tomorrow onwards till next week, Monday. And because then it's fresh in their minds, and but this now the stuff is fresh. It's not, you can still do it. You can still try and just, it's always like when you see these races and you see somebody's fallen in a race and you see them catch up, and then sometimes they actually win the race, but at least they stand up and they make an effort to finish the race. And that for me is admirable,
Exactly. Change,
change that attitude.
Exactly. So much can happen. So what should every matric learner do starting from today? What can they do?
Bring those books closer. Dust the dust off and bring it closer and start. As I said, if you don't know how to start, you take your timetable and you work with your timetable. You work like today was Tuesday, or tomorrow is Wednesday, so it might be day 3, or whatever your timetable is, day 3 or day 8. And then you can work with that first lesson and spend some time on English and learn some poetry and stuff like that. Even if poetry is not your thing, learn those poems. Learn.
Time is so valuable.
Yes, learn whatever main subject it is that you are taking, and allo and all that stuff.
Anything is possible. Guys who are listening, especially the grade 12s, I was a guest of honor for a Matric Awards ceremony. And when the MC and the keynote speaker was introducing a learner, a female learner, who took so many awards, she had A's. This child spent 85% of her time not in school, in a hospital. Because she had some medical reason, and they had to constantly have, she has constantly had to go for medical treatment, operations and stuff. But she did it. And that made me think anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Just stop procrastinating. We all have some skills. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. Every single learner has got strengths. They need to just find out. I know that in MATRIC, a lot of them feel overwhelmed by the amount of work, because it is a lot of work. And educators, and we always talk about it, the department and the pressure the department puts on us, and it's KZN, and we've got to do well again, and the teachers are just push. But every learner has a meaning in this world. There's a space for each one of us. We can make it work, and you can make it work. And you have to just understand that some of us are lucky and we've got the golden spoon, but some of us don't have it, and I'm the one that didn't have that. And you just have to understand, listen, there is no money, and you've got to make it work.
I think lots of us come from that generation or that era where if you want to be successful, earn a living, see to yourself, you need to pass your MATRIC, do very well so you can apply to study.
I think it's still important to have the MATRIC. It's nice to have the MATRIC because it does open certain doors. Although, there's people who have degrees that don't get work, but it's still always nice to say, I have a MATRIC. But if you don't have a MATRIC, it's also not, a door that closes. You can open an alternate door. You can make it work. Skills, I say to all the technical guys there now, I said, with the robotics coming in and stuff like that, do a career that a robot can't do.
I love what you're saying. Do a career that a robot can't do. Veronica, many, many years, oh gosh, we're giving our age away. We had Praveen Miraj on... Do you know why she's laughing? Because she can say it. She will be retiring in January.
That's it, yeah.
That's why she's laughing. He spoke about virtual teaching, online teaching. And I can remember we were sitting in studio, and this is maybe 15 or 16 years ago, and many of us said, this guy is on a different plane. What is he talking? We are still textbook. And you know what? Whatever he said transpired, materialized.
But I was listening, I was reading a report in Norway and those places where they're referring back to books.
I heard that, and social media.
Yes, and cutting students off the phones because the brain is not developing as much as what it should. So now all these big countries are now locking up phones, and there's no social media or something. But no social media in classrooms, and it's going back to not using any electronic devices, but actually going back to books and writing and going back to those skills, which I think is phenomenal. Do you know, for example, the Microsoft people and them, their own kids don't even have a cell phone. That's the whole thing where Bill Gates' kids and all of them don't have cell phones.
Mentioning that, my daughter's obsessed with Ronaldo and all the soccer going on. She told me, Mom, do you know his son does not have, his eldest son, who's about 15 or 16, do not own a cell phone.
But he's got other privileges that we won't talk about.
But it and then you say times have changed.
It's good, yeah.
Times have changed. We cannot grow our kids the way we grew up because times have changed. Everything is different. So we give in to stuff. But then in the process, they feel entitled. They become relaxed.
Well, the kids are just not outside and not experimenting and not playing and stuff like that. So hence now it's made us lazy, and so forth. And I think that's what, with this generation that we have, that these students or these learners are clinging to cell phones. And a cell phone and what you're watching is the people live their lives.
And it's not even real lives.
Well, some of it isn't. But you are watching somebody else live their life. Live your own life. Make your own life work. Stop watching somebody else living a life, and all these influencers that are doing this and that. Make your own life. Work, make it work. Even if you don't have a lot of skills to do it, find a skill that you're good at and actually do that. Same with the preparing now for the exams as well. And I say to my kids now at this stage, and I say to my matrics when I saw them, now you know what you knew well in the June exams. You also know what you didn't know well in the June exams. And the holidays were now supposed to go where you go and you sit and you say, okay, I didn't know this. I need to focus on this. And like many of us have strengths and weaknesses, work on the sections that and I'm not talking about students that are, or learners trying to push for A's. I'm talking about students that are trying to pass. You and work on the sections that you are very good at and that you enjoy, and make sure you know those sections 200 million %. And then the others, you also know them, but you don't know them as well as the ones that you enjoy.
Discipline and sacrifice. That's the key. That's the key to success. Being resilient, discipline, and just making those sacrifices with so much of distraction.
But children don't need to do that because the parents are mollycoddling the parents.
Do you know, since you're mentioning that, because I know every year
we talk
matric
about that.
Parents are also writing exams.
Yeah, no, every year.
And even though your child's a young adult, but you still have to supervise them, push them some every now and then, check what they're doing. Because sometimes, they know their stuff, but they're just complacent, lazy.
I always say to these parents, if you don't teach your child to empower themselves, you're going to be paying for them for the rest of your life. They're going to be living from your purse for the rest of their life. So you need to make that choice. Your little boy that you love to bits and you always take his side and you protect him, that boy is going to live from your purse for a very, very long time until you kick him out of the house. Or finally he actually stands up and says, okay, maybe now I should stand up and actually get off my computer or play my games and whatever. But it's very difficult when a parent is in that scenario where a kid is just playing or where a kid is messing around. That's sad case, and I've seen a few of them in all my life here of teaching, where a child, they're now big, they don't listen to their parents, they do just what they like. It's very difficult, and the frustration and the hurt that parents go through, because a child is now all known, I know everything, and just not willing to study and would rather sit and play their games. Oh no, I'm going to become a gamer and I'm going to make lots of money. Because it's a digital life. How do you know he's not going to become a big gamer, and so forth and so forth. So it is such a fine line for parents, and it's so difficult if your child is underperforming and you as a parent are not able to control the child. You as a teacher, you can't control whether a kid, I always say to a kid, I can control you in my classroom, but when you go home, I can't control what you're doing. I can only hope you're doing it.
We touched on this every year, I think. Lots of learners, even matric learners, do not even know what's the studies timetable. They don't know how to plan. They don't know what to study first. So lots of them also need advice about that, because different ways of summarizing. Are you audio? Are you visual?
Yeah, but the ALO department does that. That comes through in the ALO.
Okay.
And because I know I'm teaching ALO
okay,
at the moment.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so some of the ALO, they're already in the early phases in the grade 8, because I know it's in my syllabus. I'm teaching grade 8s this year. I haven't taught grade 8s before, but now I see it is there. So it's their learning styles that are coming through. Okay, grade 8, they're still young, they're very playful, they don't understand it, but it's definitely coming through in the ALO syllabus, where they are actually touching on that and so trying where the learners, I know I marked one of the questions where the learners had to state which learning category they were and how do they study, and they had to draw this poster about how they study and so it was actually my class, the one class actually, my ALO class, they did very well in that, I must say. I was quite chuffed.
So all the parents are listening right now, caregivers, guardians, your child knows how to study. It's just that they are lying to you, they don't know how to study, because they are given the format, the way to go about.
Or they're just overwhelmed because now the work is so much, and they've been honest, they've been just leisuring through grade 10 and 11 and scraped through, and now grade 12
Do you know,
is suddenly this big mountain in front of them.
just a question which we get always when we interview learners. Which subject should I start studying now? I'm in grade 12. I don't have my exam timetable. I don't have my trial exam timetable. So which subject should I go for? The hardest, difficult ones?
The ones that you're not doing well in.
But you know what the learners do? They want to study the easy ones first.
Yeah. The ones that you're not doing well in, because those are the ones, if you are drifting here on a 30% or a 40%, you know, I always say this to my learners. You never know when there's an emergency that happens. Whether you break your wrist, you have a death in the family, something happens and you can't study. You get flu.
Yeah,
I saw in the June exam how many of these kids were sitting there and snotty and noses running, and I was walking around with a roll of toilet paper and handing out toilet paper. Because they don't even realize that they are doing it, sniffing there all the time. And I hand out, can I give you some toilet paper? Yeah, to blow your nose, you know. And get serious flu. And you can't study because you are not feeling well at all. And now you got to try and pass this exam. And I always say to them, you never, and I don't wish this on anybody, but I always say to them, you don't know what's going to happen with you.
Do you know, I tell that to my little one, and every exam's without fail. Guess what?
Flu.
Sick.
Yeah.
Antibiotics, but she goes to school. I even feel afraid sometimes. I'm saying this on air as a parent. These are my views and opinions. As a parent, sometimes even we are educators, so from both sides you can look at it. If you write a letter that your child is sick, sometimes educators think, oh, the parent is trying to cover up, the child is not really sick. But again, it is flu season, and unfortunately, every time when there's an exam, it's always flu season, and now we in winter, colder months.
Yeah, no, that is a reality. That is actually very sad. Our kids come in with it. You know, we in our school, we quite... Listen, if there's a doctor's letter and the kid is in the hospital, obviously you can't drag them out to... But in our school, we try and get all the learners there because it's to their, you know, because they're sort of prepared mentally, and now you've got to go back and you've got to restudy these things, you know. But it just, and when you have flu, it just makes life very difficult for you. You know, it's not fun and it's not nice, and you can't, you know, be yourself 200% like you were, you know, during the year.
And with all that medication, you
can't even
study. You can't even study. You know, past year papers. How important are they, and how do you go about studying it?
You know, I believe in a past year paper. I've got like boxes, and I always go and I hand out.
How far?
2019.
That's recent.
2019. I've actually, because I'm leaving now, I'm actually dished it out because I'm actually busy clearing out my classroom. My you know, the teachers' load that they always collect. I'm busy cleaning out my classroom, my workshop, because I need to hand over. I don't want to give this next teacher all my rubbish, but so I've been handing out stuff to my matrics and my classes, and I say to them, listen, keep this. I have this theory. When you're downloading, and you're working on a computer, you go and you take all the question paper as well as the memo, and you put it in a file per subject. And then you start working through it. So you go through the question and you study it, and then you can check with a memo. A lot of the questions in the exams are very similar. You know, you can't reinvent the wheel all the time. All our wheels are round, you know, but obviously there are fancy wheels and the tires are more aerodynamic and blah, blah, blah. So you do refine the questions. The teachers do refine. And sometimes they just look at the tire from the front and not from the back, you know, or from the middle and whatever. So there's different ways that they can set questions. But the basic question is, and I always say, and there's a couple of things that I want to say here now. One of them is that the students must understand the question. If there's work that you don't understand, go to YouTube. on to this.
I thought you were going to say go and ask the teacher.
No. Go on to YouTube and look at the different videos. This is so nice about where we are now. There are so many different videos on content with exams and topic content that you can go and you can sit and you can look at stuff and you can say, okay, now write this and this and that.
Do you know, lots of educators, I'm one of them, curriculum always changing. You might not have thought a subject in probably decades or when you did it. Example, let's use maths. The theories and formulas and everything, the way we learned it is different from now. I go on to YouTube.
That's it.
And we tell the learners, teachers are learning every day.
And there's different ways that different people are doing it. And again, you're looking at from the left side, the right side, the top, the bottom, whatever. And that is so nice because you can now, I say to the learners, especially for your learners that are visual learners and audio learners, and now they can listen and they can look. Remember, as a parent, you must try and get these students now, or these learners now to study. The other big thing that the students make huge, and I'm sure you would agree with me on that, is the way that they answer the questions. I find that they say the same thing. The question counts 3-4 marks. They say the same thing over and over and over and over. And they're not reading through the questions, and they're not once they've written it down, they just write. And then when I go and then I underline, but this is the same idea. You're saying the same thing over and over. So they get 1 mark instead of 3 marks. When you're doing mathematics, write down the formula. Show how you've manipulated the formula. Show the answer. If you're doing science, put in the units. Put in units, those kind of things. If something counts 5 marks, try and give 5 pointers, And quite often I see that these kids are writing, they don't know all the things, so they just write the biggest lot of rubbish.
Do you know, a lot of you might agree, a lot of matric examiners and markers, they say the caliber of majority of the papers, we're stereotyping here, is just like scribble.
That's exactly what
Grade 12 learners, the sentence does not start with a capital letter. Yeah. The writing is just sprawled onto the page, and you as a marker are totally put off.
Yeah.
You're totally put off.
I got an email from an old boy the other day asking me if I could be their reference. Can they put me up as a reference on their CV? And it's like he's writing a WhatsApp message. Morning, or whatever. I hope you're well. Just hi. Would you mind being? Can I put you? Would you mind being my reference? Can I put you down as a reference? And I'm like, no, thank you. Nothing. Just this one-liner, and that was it. And I thought, this is the world that we're living in. And you are so right, especially with English and your languages, isiZulu and Afrikaans, and that. It is so important to get that writing done.
Do you know, cursive doesn't exist anymore. Well, we'll be taking a short ad break.
You're listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Radio Ansaar, 24/7, 365.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031-306-4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickville Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
At this time of trial and worry, the blessings of charity are the ideal means to avoid calamity and despair. The Al-Imdad Foundation gives you the opportunity to sponsor a share in a borehole in South Africa for just 1,000 rand and provide what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called the best form of charity. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
The Breakfast Rush.
Why healthcare workers against xenophobia felt it was required to issue this statement at this particular time.
this is just about paperwork. We just want people to get documented. It's just about becoming legal. And of course, you should try and get legal documents. Everybody should try and not, sort of be undocumented.
Dr. Sama Al-Borai.
Breakfast Rush.
اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم حرر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المرابطين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم شد أزرهم وسدد رميهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم الطف بإخواننا في كل مكان يذكر فيه اسمك يا أرحم الراحمين. استنصروك يا الله فانصرهم. اللهم ارحم الضعفاء والفقراء والمساكين والأيتام والنازحين والمشردين والأسرى يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم أنج المستضعفين من المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم كن لهم عونا ونصيرا. اللهم كن لإخواننا المرابطين في المسجد الأقصى. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم فرج همهم، نفس كربهم، داوي جرحاهم، عاف مبتلاهم، اشف مرضاهم، ارحم موتاهم، تقبل شهداءهم.
Radio Ansaar.
You are listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to School Matters. While we were off air, we were just talking. There's so much happening in the world right now. Our poor matrics, how do they concentrate?
Yeah, I think now you just put blinkers on and you focus on what is your situation now. You don't look at what is happening around you. I do understand that there might be a lot of difficulties if students or learners are in the informal settlements and all these situations are happening around them. But I do think that it's very important that they stay focused on their ultimate goal. It is tough. It's easy for me to say try and stay focused, and it is tough. It's not easy. But we've now, in so many cases, we've spoken about learners that have gone through so many difficulties in the past, and who've managed to reach the end goal and do very well. Yeah. And that is ultimately what everything is about, is that you stay focused on your goals. You have to set yourself goals. If you don't set yourself goals, you don't know where you're going.
Exactly.
So if there's no goals, you can't move forward.
For listeners who joined us now, we are talking about 2026 matriculants. There's about 100 days before they write their final matric paper. So how do they go about? How vital, how important? Veronica, what advice do you have for the learners who are already behind?
You still can do it. You won't be doing maybe as well as what the people who've been working consistently, but you can still make it. I see it like the comrades. If you see the comrades, there's very few of us that can keep up with the guys in the front. There are some people that just have got it, and mind you, even some of the guys in the front, they have difficulties, and then they might have cramps or whatever happens with them, and not all of them are top 10 or whatever, manage to achieve the goal that they've set. But there are some of them that obviously do if they work constantly and they've trained constantly. But with the comrades, for example, there are your stragglers.
Yeah.
And I always say maybe students and learners don't understand how everybody around them are cheering. But if you listen to the comrades and you see these guys and they're coming there and there's this countdown and everybody's shouting, you want them. That's what now. You have to understand we are all cheering for you. Your parents are stressing overload. Teachers are stressing overload. Pressure on, as I said, on everybody to make sure that students come in for extra lessons and stuff like that. These students, the learners must just understand we're on your side and we want you to finish the race.
Veronica, we are talking on the macro of South Africa, of schools. We're not focusing on those who have and those who are privileged.
No.
We're not focusing on us where we can just jump in a car, go. A lot of the learners find it so difficult because they don't know how to balance school, homework, extra lessons, family responsibilities. It's not easy caring for their younger siblings.
Yes,
this is the reality.
I've taught in those schools. I've taught there. I've seen it, and you know what? I think sometimes those are the learners that are the ones that are more tenacious because they know how hard it is. They know hardship. I think sometimes when we haven't had hardship and life has been very kind to us, we don't understand what a struggle is. We don't know what struggling is. We don't understand the term. We don't define ourselves as struggling because everything is always going our way. And sometimes when we do fail, and unfortunately there are people who fail matric, it comes as a big shock and I didn't think. It's because you never taught yourself to work very hard. And I think of when I've driven in the holidays on holiday. Haven't been on holiday for a while, but when I used to drive down the Eastern Cape and I see all these learners walking from the farms to schools in their school uniform in that cold weather, and they're walking at 8-9 o'clock in the morning because now you've been on the road since 4 o'clock because you're trying to get to your destination while the sun is still out, blah blah blah. And you see these learners walking from their farm establishments to the local school, and there they are, and they're walking along the road and they are going to school and they walk 10 kilometers, 5, who knows how long or far.
Why go so far around your school, the learners in your school, especially if you are in a government school? If you ask your learners, they might not want to tell you because maybe they might feel shy or embarrassed. So many of them in the morning go and collect water. The squatters settlements, they have to one room sort out everything. They have to go somewhere else if they want to go to the toilet.
I had a girl.
And we don't realize this. And if you want to make something, it's not so easy because I know one learner said, forget electricity. They don't have gas. Some of them don't have money to buy gas. They have to wait till the end of the month. So there's so many obstacles and challenges. But we sometimes as educators think that we have a 5-bedroom house, so the learner has a 5-bedroom house. We don't. Sometimes we forget where our learners are coming from.
I don't think sometimes even if they are in our classrooms, that there are many learners that have their own struggles. I remember many years ago as well, long time ago, one of the children said to me, he said, ma'am, I so wish my parents would just come and watch me play sport. And I said, do you want me to come and watch you? He says, no, you're not. It's not the same. And so they have their own struggles. Parents have their own struggles. Parents, and I think today what happens is a lot of both parents are forced to work, and so you get home, you're tired, you don't spend the time that you should and I don't think a lot of parents are involved, and it's just easy. I know how many parents I've asked to come and see me and they just don't. They just don't come and see me. And then I'm trying to say, but I would like to discuss your child's progress. They don't come. How many parents come to parents' evening? You want to see the ones that are struggling and they don't come.
A lot of schools stopped having it because it was a waste of time.
Yes.
Teachers are sitting there till 7 o'clock in the evening, 7:30. They saw one parent.
And the kid who's first in the class, he's sitting there. And then I say to the parent, what is it that you want me to tell you? You're doing so great. What more do you want me to tell you? Oh, but is there anything you can do better? And I'm like, yes, but I actually wanted to see the children that are struggling. I want to talk to their parents. I want to tell the parents your child is struggling. What can we do together? What plan can we make?
For our listeners out there, can you tell them how important parent involvement is?
Oh, 200%. You cannot, I believe teaching is a triangle. It's you as an educator, it's the child, and it's the educator.
And I always say...
And if you break the triangle, it's an opening.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes as parents, we get very emotional. If our child comes home and tell us something, no, the teacher is wrong, our child is right, we tend to damage that relationship, and then we find out later on our child was wrong. Sometimes you have an educator who breaks the relationship, and sometimes we have the learner who's playing the parent and the educator. So it's so important to communicate. I know lots of schools, most schools, do not allow walk-ins of parents due to safety. But set that appointment, try to get emails or telephone, so you can have peace of mind, not when your child fails and now you want to go ask the educator, what can I do for the child to pass? And they'll tell you, repeat the year.
It's unfortunately that, and then when the child does repeat, then the parent also, I've worked with multiple learners that have failed, and then the parent wants to come and quick fix. Just pass my child, we'll fix it next year. And then I say to the parent, but in the June, parents, now you can see that your child is not doing well. Now you can see that you have to take your child to extra tuition. If your child, and even matrics, it's not too late for extra tuition. Yes, you have to pay for some extra tuition, and yes, maybe your child needs to go to the extra classes that the school is offering, because your child is too smart if he thinks or she thinks she's too smart to attend those lessons, or you have to pay for these extra lessons. And I say to the parents, did you not see in the June exam that there were red flags coming up? Hello, there's an issue here. What have you done as the responsible parent? Okay, my boy, listen, you need to do much better now this next term. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. And the parents that duck and dive, the teachers, when we say, listen, can you please just come and chat with me? I want to help you. And then they just...
That's what parents need to understand.
No, they don't see
We're calling you... Because we want to help you.
Yes.
We're not calling you to embarrass you.
No.
We're not calling you because we are victimizing your child. We are not calling you. Do you know, we have educators, like over the years, they say sometimes, and I've done this, and sometimes I still do it. If you want to help that child and that parent feels that you are victimizing the child and you are irritating with letters and notes, we reach a point where we just leave the child.
I have a thing that I have at the bottom of my email when I send emails. It's my interest in the time that I spend on your child indicates the interest that I have in your child. I want your child to do well. That's what I want. That's what we as teachers are here to do. We are here to help students, learners. We are here to support them. We can't fix everything, but we can try and help as much as we can. And that is, parents need to understand that. And then I can, I say to the child, to the parent, maybe your child shouldn't be doing maths core. Your child is not doing well. I know that we are not, but and a lot of schools say don't do that, and I actually have full understanding for that. But although there's this big fight about schools bullying children and to going to maths lit, but when a child already in grade 8 and 9 is struggling, I understand that listen, if they don't have the basic foundations and parents aren't doing anything, maybe it is for the child to do maths, and there's a whole argument about that, so I'm most probably opening up a can of worms here. But sometimes we as educators are here to try and help the children and say, listen, okay, like I would say, all right, I see that you don't do well in this section. I want you to focus on section B, then rather make sure, as I said earlier, make sure you know the section 200%, but still focus on section A and make sure that you can answer it at least 30% to 40% of the questions. You can answer that one. But section B, I can see you doing very well. I want you to focus on this one. try and learn this one like 80-90% and answer all the questions there, because then you can push your marks and get your marks going.
Veronica, since you touched on the grade 8, there are learners in grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, 11, where they were skidding through, where
pushed through.
They've
been pushed through.
And where a lot of them were branded it's human nature, this child doesn't work, this child brings no books, there's no supervision, and this child goes into, as you said, goes into matric. They feel they have no hope, so they don't bother. I don't feel that's true.
They don't bother not for the no hope. I think they've just always been pushed through, and they think that's what's going to happen with them in life. That's why we've got so many students and learners who think that the world owes them, because they've never really needed to work hard. Because many of them are super intelligent. Oh, but they are super lazy as well. No, I don't need to work. I can do the bare minimum. I don't need to work
30%.
hard. Yeah, that 30% mentality is it's bad for us. It's really bad. And then you go into like an institution like DUT and UKZNs or whatever university, and now you've got to get 50%. Oh, those kids, what a wake-up call for them.
And even lots of them who are studying online, it's also a wake-up call, because there's no pardon you. You need to be there for that test. You need to be there.
No, but that's when we copy and paste. That's now the whole thing. And now we need to try and outsmart the computer that shows how many of these plagiarisms we've done. But that's a different
AI,
thing. Yeah.
With AI, do we thank AI or do we just hate AI, especially lecturers and educators? From today's discussion, what piece of advice to our learners, especially our grade 12 learners who are listening us, you'd like them to remember?
It's not too late. It's not too late. Change your attitude. Go into first gear. Start working.
Change your attitude. Go into first gear.
Yeah.
And to stay motivated.
Yes, that's it. If you're in first gear, my boy, my girl, trust me, it's not too late. You can still do this. Just change that attitude and just have a goal. Set yourself a goal. I want to do this. I can do this. Yes, I can.
Well, inshallah, definitely, if you put your mind to something, you will be able to do it. As we wrap today's program, remember, the success isn't built in one day. It's built through consistent effort every single day. To our matric learners, stay focused. Ask for help, as Veronica said, when you need it. Believe in your ability and make every one of these final 100 days count. So, Veronica, for sharing your valuable insight, as usual, and encouragement. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All
the best.
I'll still see you next year in studio.
Yes.
And the following year.
Yes. I don't have an issue with that.
You earned your stripes. Earned your stripes. So again, a sincere thank you to Veronica, who's always there to support our learners and our parents and just give that advice from her heart. So until next time, study smart, stay healthy, trust the Almighty, and keep moving towards that matric final finish line. From me, Sumaya Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
Good night.
La ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. So much you can gain just by saying those few words. You can renew your faith and be shy.